The sun had barely kissed the horizon when Aiden stepped into the forest. The air was thick, heavy with the scent of damp moss and decaying leaves. Shadows stretched like long skeletal fingers between the ancient trees, each one more twisted and gnarled than the last. He had heard the warnings from the villagers, of course. The forest was cursed, they said, haunted by spirits that lured travelers deeper and deeper into the dark until they vanished without a trace. But for Aiden, curiosity had always been a stronger pull than fear, and tonight, that curiosity had led him straight to the edge of the Forbidden Woods. As he walked deeper, the dim twilight painted everything in muted shades of gray, merging the forest floor with the looming canopy above. It was unnervingly quiet, yet every snap of a twig under his boots made his heart jump. A faint whisper seemed to float through the cold air, soft as silk yet sharp enough to make his skin crawl. He was certain he had imagined it. "It's just the wind," he muttered, his own voice sounding small and foreign here. But the wind seemed too purposeful, too deliberate, moving the branches as if an unseen hand was guiding them, beckoning him forward. Hours passed, or maybe it was only minutes. Time in this forest felt distorted, unbound by the rules of the world he'd left behind. Then he saw it, a flickering light through the trees. Small and almost unnoticeable at first, like a dying star trapped among the branches. It was a beacon in the oppressive gloom. Driven by a strange mix of dread and fascination, he found himself moving toward it, drawn by an invisible string. The closer he got, the colder the air became, a chill that sank deep into his bones. The whispers grew louder, clearer, now forming words he could almost understand. "Turn back." They murmured, a faint and urgent warning that he chose to ignore. But it was too late. As he broke through a thicket of thorns, the light resolved into a figure, a woman, pale as the moon, with eyes like dark pools reflecting an endless, profound sorrow. She stood motionless, her form seeming to waver at the edges, as if she were made of mist and moonlight. She reached out a hand, and though a primal terror was clawing at him from the inside, he found he could not resist. He was paralyzed, caught in her gaze. Her touch was like ice, and the moment her fingers grazed his skin, the world around him seemed to warp and twist. The ancient trees bent in unnatural, impossible ways, their branches writhing like serpents. Aiden tried to pull away, to run, but his legs felt like they were sinking into the forest floor, heavy as lead. Roots, thick and strong, began to wrap around his ankles, holding him fast like living chains. "You came willingly," she whispered, her voice echoing as if from 1,000 different directions, like whispers in a hollow cave. "Now you belong to the Twilight." A raw, silent scream of panic surged through him, but no sound emerged. His voice was stolen. The shadows of the forest thickened, pressing closer from all sides, swallowing the world and hiding everything else from view. In the distance, through a small gap in the suffocating darkness, he could barely make out the lights of the village. They seemed so near, a warm and inviting glow, yet they were impossibly far, a world away. He realized then, with a crushing certainty, that the forest had no beginning and no end. It existed in a twilight realm, a place caught between reality and nightmare, a trap where the living trespassed at their own peril. The stories were true. Hours passed. Or maybe it was days. Aiden couldn't tell. He wandered, a ghost in his own life, chased by shadows that whispered his name on the wind. He felt his sanity fraying with each step, unraveling like an old rope. The forest played tricks on him. Creatures of indescribable shapes slithered in the corners of his vision, their forms monstrous and fleeting, vanishing whenever he tried to look directly at them. Were they real, or was his mind finally breaking? He stumbled upon a puddle of stagnant water and peered into it. His own reflection stared back, but it was a stranger, a man with hollow, haunted eyes, his face gaunt and pale, as if the forest had already begun consuming his very essence, feeding on his life force. Hope was a distant memory, a flicker that had long since died out. He was ready to give in, to let the darkness take him, to become another one of the forest's lost souls. Then, just as he was about to collapse, he saw it. A faint glimmer of light, different from the woman's cold glow. It was the soft, warm light of dawn, filtering through the dense canopy. With a sudden surge of strength he didn't know he possessed, he ran. He sprinted towards the light, branches clawing at his skin like desperate hands, unseen roots tripping him again and again. The whispers turned frantic, pleading at first, then angry and sharp, screaming at him to stay. He ignored them, his entire being focused on that single point of light. Somehow, he stumbled out of the tree line and into a clearing, bathed in the soft, gentle light of morning. He collapsed to his knees, gasping for air, the warmth of the sun on his face feeling like a resurrection. The forest behind him seemed to breathe a final, defeated sigh. The deep shadows retreated, dissolving like smoke in the morning sun. The whispers faded into silence. When he finally found the strength to stand, Aiden looked back. The trees were silent, still, and utterly ordinary. Just a normal forest at the edge of the village. But he knew the truth. He knew what lay within. The dark forest never truly lets go of those who enter willingly. He could feel it, even now, a cold spot deep within him. He carried the twilight with him, a permanent shadow that would whisper at the edges of his mind for the rest of his days. Even as he returned to the comforting safety of the village, to the familiar faces and warm hearths, he could feel it. The cold, patient gaze of the woman in the woods, watching him from the shadows, forever waiting for night to fall again. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next journey into the dark. Stay safe out there.